we've moved on from last Saturday. I was asked to go ahead and register the organisation because nobody else had done that. There was anticipation somewhat, but it didn't happen. Okay, so we've moved on. I'll just give you the state of play and then we'll go back onto the documents. State of play is I need to send in to Service New South Wales an application form to register an incorporated body. Okay, and that's they've also got to get a copy of the Constitution. So the Constitution, which I've given you before, has been amended in as much as it's got the name of the organisation on it. I had to do that.
You better tell me the name.
Yeah, I've actually had a lot of difficulties to get to where we've got to, because I was told to go in one direction and then go another direction, another direction, another direction. There seems to be a lot of people out there who know a lot of information on such minuscule stuff that they don't know, nobody has an overall view.
No broad brush.
But I spoke to these guys here today, they said do that. This is the first step. So we've actually not completed, but I filled out the forms for completion, and Diane's going to deposit that with Service New South Wales this afternoon. They'll give us notification, and that's where we're going to go. I was supposed to put down 3 alternate names. I didn't. I just put down one because that's the name that we're going with at this time. Which, if you don't know, it's Christians for Community, and the abbreviation is C4C.
C4. C4, the number 4.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Now we'll go back to these documents. The first one is the recommendation for a structure of a political party. Now, this was discussed and deliberated here before, and also down in Sydney. The reason why we need to have this stuff in place is to protect us so that we don't go down the pathway that we went before. The pathway we went before, where there was seemingly anybody was in charge of anything. It was just whatever they wanted to do. As a result of that, there's been a lot of big issues that have happened.
Do you want to rescue the camera?
So we've actually got that in, and the main thing is the separating between the organisational wing and the political wing. That's the most fundamentally important thing. The Liberal Party has got that clear separation. The Labor Party has a bit of a difference because they've also got the trade union as well, and that mixes and mingles in with all of that stuff, and that causes there's a whole angst of confusion there because of it. So yeah, so that's why we have this, and quite simply, under the organisational wing, you've got the administration, which is essentially the head office, and of course, if we have somebody in there, a state director or whatever, he or she will be the person in charge of the office. And their decisions, whoever they need to employ and all that within budget constraints, they will make those decisions. And so that's where all the records will be kept, including membership and all that. And currently, I actually am keeping the record of membership because someone's got to do it. And so until we get this thing further down the track, we won't be able to distribute the work to too many people at this stage. The second group is the management group. Now this is the group of elected people that actually sort out and do whatever they need to do to give directions to where the party's going. And then you actually have the members of the party. Obviously they are the voting people, they are the ones put forward proposals, they essentially, the State Council meeting is their place where they should be able to discuss and deliberate upon anything that they want to discuss and deliberate on, which is important. And then you actually have supporters of the party. It's not good to move it. you have the supporters of the party. These people will do lots of things. They may give financial support. They may just simply be available to assist, maybe letterboxing, whatever, polling day material, all that stuff. So you'll have all of those sorts of things that they will do. But the management group, the members of the party and the supporters of the party are not entitled to interfere with the administration. They can make decisions for administration to follow, but they don't interfere. They are a different subset of a group of people, and the administration actually has to run its own affairs. Obviously it has reference to, because who's ever in charge of administration is reportable back to the Board of Management. So that's how all that works. The organisational wing will set up the general direction of policies. So that will be the long-term goal of policies, that basically where it will be going. The parliamentary wing must make decisions on how that happens in that particular day in question within the parliament. They've got to respond to bills and legislation that are there. They need to respond within that. The parliamentary wing should always be prepared to answer questions of the organisational wing in regard to decisions that they make, and that's important. And if the organisational wing is not happy with a parliamentary member, they have the opportunity at the next occasion, when you do pre-selection, to actually pre-select somebody else. So that's how that works, and that's how this particular plan comes together. The parliamentary wing, none of those members can be on the board, none of those people can do that. The only place they do actually have involvement, I suppose, they can actually be involved with their local branch and running their local branch if they so wish. It is strongly recommended, though not written down here, that they don't be the delegate to a state council. It's strongly recommended that they not be that person. But anyway, so that deals with that. I don't know if there's any questions about it at all. Okay. The next thing is the Constitution. Well, the Constitution has been changed by reason of the need to put a name to the Constitution, to have it so it actually is a Constitution that's applicable to the organisation that we're actually registering. We are registering the name of Constitution, the Christians for Community, simply because that was a name that a small group were actually in the process of doing things for, and even though they've stalled a lot along the way, they have done something in notifying the fact that it's going to be I think it's the Electoral Commission, that's going to be a political party. They've done that part.
What date does it start to be registered?
Well, the registration will occur sometime after this document is processed, and that will probably be within.
Hopefully this afternoon.
Well, I mean that'll be on its way this afternoon, but it won't be.
Not fully.
It won't be approved. It will probably take about. I think it says about a week or so to be approved.
Yes.
If you chose another name, so it wouldn't have made it later.
I beg your pardon?
If you chose another name, wouldn't make it later.
Yes, so look, when we get 100 members, as I said to the people, when we get 100 members, we will call a meeting of all those people, and that's when we will discuss. For example, we will need to officially endorse this particular constitution or amend it and then officially endorse it. We will need to officially endorse this particular paper about the recommendation for the structure of the party.
Yeah.
We'll need to endorse that as being, and we'll also need to probably endorse something that I wrote here on this particular application, which I'll go to, so I'll have a diversion for a moment from that to this here. I had to describe what the organisation was about. What I wrote: the objects of the company is to create a political party to 1. Raise funds for the purposes to train, prepare, endorse political candidates to contest local government, state government and federal government elections. 2. Develop policies that will enhance the well-being of all Australians with Judeo-Christian emphasis. 3. to attract members and supporters to support the objectives of this political party. Now, I had to do something, and so yes, that's what I've done. So, they'll have to endorse that statement as well, or have it changed or amended, because
And that's the same as for the name too, isn't it?
that's right. The same with the name. You either endorse it. You know, you've got to have a name, and of course, as in this particular constitution, if you want to change the name, there's a process on that. There says that somewhere here. Change of a name, objects of the constitution, an application for registration of change of party name, in accordance with the section, is made by the party agent, the board member, or a board member. So, that's how you change the name. But there would be a decision of State Council, and then once you do that, then you actually have to put an application to register that changed name. And what they will do when they do that, they make sure that the name is not currently being used or not so similar to a name that isn't being used at the moment.
Can I just say something about that too? There's been a bit of a kerfuffle in South Australia because this is the party that Lyle Shelton has joined, but it was called Family First. That's it, Family First. It died about 4 years ago. And then a group of people, Christian people, got together and they called it Family First SA.
Yeah,
But when it went to court, they threw it out because they said it was too similar.
that's right.
Yeah.
So the Family First has been revived, and that's what Lyle Shelton is now the National Director of.
Yeah.
He didn't go down this way. It was going to take him too long to go through all
I
these
wondered
steps.
if that was what he started.
Well, it seems to me, I'm not being cynical.
Is this
Not
what
much.
he started the name? Is that what
He is
that
now
name?
the
No,
national.
no, he didn't
He
start.
had nothing to do
No,
with
it had
it.
nothing to do with his
No.
name.
No,
That's all.
but he's
The
taken
name
on
you
that.
chose.
This particular name that we have was chosen by a group of people who were setting up
I was one
an
of them.
organisation purely and simply
Some
for the
Sydney
yeah.
young people.
for the
A
purposes
long
of
time ago, was it?
No, only about, what, 2-3 months?
No.
yeah, it's for the purposes of being a holding company for the purposes of that if there was any money residual from the closure of the CDP,
Oh,
that
okay.
that we may be able to put our hand up for it. Okay. Now, as if you read through your copy of the Constitution you have got, you'll need to put into Christians for Community, which I've had to put in right through. I've had to go and do that today.
Oh, so you didn't do it in the one you sent?
Yeah, you didn't.
No, well, I've had to change it today because it was
Oh.
today that I realised I actually had to put forward a Constitution which actually has all our details in it. So yes.
With that, your registration?
I've got that in the car.
Is that, do you have to give that when you register the?
Change
It's all
the
in the
That's
car,
what-
what I'm
yeah,
taking in.
Yes, that's why I.
No, I know, I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, sure.
That has
She's
to
got-
go.
That's a copy of.
No, I know, but I'm saying
Yeah,
that has
that's
to
right.
go with the
That's right. They've got to have.
The
They've
No,
got to
it's
have.
the
The application.
With the application.
That's right. You've got to have the Constitution.
With the
The name on
application.
every page on the front page.
Well, you've got well, there's parts in the Constitution, for example, where it says the party will be known as, and so you've got to put it there, and
So wherever it is, you have to fill it in.
wherever I left blanks.
On your
I've had
part,
to
your
put it
copy,
in.
you'll just go in and write that.
Yeah,
in.
that's fine,
Yeah.
but I just might have missed it when you said you had to put
Yeah.
that with the
Oh.
registration.
No, that's
Yeah.
why you printed
Yeah.
these off.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want
So-
the
You had
front
to put
page
that with
again,
the
or?
registration. Yeah.
So we'll go back to the issues here. In this particular Constitution, the leadership group, that is the 4 major positions in the leadership group, the current wording is that they will be voted in for 2 years by an all members vote, and that they can cycle that twice. In other words, they can be there for a total of 8 years in that position. But there are some who have suggested that that is too short a time, and so it can be extended by a matter of when we have our meeting with 100 odd people, we're able to simply say we want to extend it or whatever. The whole purpose of it is to have the principle there that you can't have a person there who is the president forever, or the deputy president forever,
No.
or treasurer forever,
No.
or secretary forever.
No.
You want the capacity of them to be removed somehow, and it's a breakaway of making sure that it happens.
Mm.
Okay, and that's the whole purpose of it. And of course, the period of time that whether they're allowed to serve back on the regular board, that's also this current constitution says that's possible. So on year 5, those people holding that office, they could actually go and put their hand up to be on the regular board. Now, it may be a decision that people say, well, we would prefer them not to be on, we want them to stand aside for a year or two, but that's something, again, that can be suggested when we actually look at the constitution.
So it's 5 years?
No, it's 4 years, but you see, if a person was the president of the organisation, he serves 4 years. That's 2 terms. He serves 4 years.
That's fine.
And he's coming to the end of his 4th term. He puts his hand up to go onto the board. Right? He may serve on the board for as long as he likes. Then, sort of. Well, obviously being
It's only
re-elected.
those 4 positions that have the limited terms.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And then, but after serving 1 year, what the current constitution says, the wording of it says, is that after 1 year they can actually go back to be on the executive group, right? But that again is something which is subject to the decisions of the group. I actually had to create a pathway for a person to be able to serve, and if they were okay with the people, that they could serve further and to be able to come back. But see, if you only have 1 year break, you can't get back to the old position you were in because it's not in the right cycle. Okay?
It's 2 years and it's only 1.
That's right. You see, because
4 years for the next one.
So yeah,
Next
so
one.
hopefully that's not confusing, but that's how that works.
No, I was just thinking about what we were involved in, and the person was there for 6 years and still there, and it's just
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. I mean, that's right.
Won't
But
happen in
but
this
it's a matter of the argument back and forth from the members at the time as to how it will go. But the essential thing is, if a person runs for an election and they are successful, the day they receive notification, they tender their resignation from, if they are an employee, they tender their resignation as an employee, and they tender their resignation if they're on the board. So that's what happens. So basically, if you become a member of Parliament, you cannot serve on the board and you cannot be employed by the organisation.
You ever been a member of it still?
Well, yes, most
Still be a
definitely.
member.
Most definitely. You can contribute at the local branch, as I said. You can contribute at the local branch level, but I would strongly recommend that they not be a delegate to State Council.
No.
Um,
I'll still be there.
Huh?
They'd still be there.
That's right. But they can certainly participate in the local, and in fact they should. They should. So that's how all that works. I don't know if there's any more questions on that one. I think that the main other thing is I guess the casual vacancies. That is your person is appointed there. They can what's it say here? If it's a casual vacancy, obviously you continue. If you're fulfilling a casual vacancy, you fill that casual vacancy up until when that position would have generally been held as an election. What did I say about that's how they happen.
Do you want to say anything about the State Director?
The board may appoint a member. See, this is saying the board may appoint a member, but one of the things is whether the board appoints the member. They can appoint the board could actually say, oh well, you can do it, or I mean, I would prefer it to go to State Council. The reason why this is saying that the board should, and I mean, it gives an area for actually an amendment anyway, because perhaps they can actually announce somebody to fulfil that role, but they may, I think it needs to be endorsed by State Council, but sometimes it's only going to be a short gap between that and the AGM. So there's that's going to be something which we may need to look at a bit, but that's an area where I'm foreshadowing that it might need to be a bit of an adjustment. the removal of board members, there is a process, and I hope it never needs to happen, but there is a process to do that, and it's appropriate that there is one. And the use of technology at board meetings. It's terribly important that technology can be used at board meetings, even though in many cases it's not all that satisfactory, it's not really great.
You mean Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom, that's a technology, that's what I'm saying. Technology or even phone, whatever system that one wants to use. Simply because if you don't, then you have the board basically concentrated in one area.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to have people who are all over the place who are duly qualified with the support of the people to be able to sit on the board. I don't think it's wise to have the board dominated in one place or another.
Yeah.
And I mean, I recommend that state council meetings be held all over the state, not just
No.
in one location. Now, with the voting, this is always a bone of contention, whether or not every member should vote for the leadership group, and then who should vote for things at state council. I have suggested through this constitution, and when I say I don't mean I alone, I mean I and others, have suggested that through this constitution that the vote for those positions that fill the leadership group is by every member by a postal ballot in the same way that we are familiar with NRMA type system. But when it comes to discussions at state council, while every person is welcome to contribute, the voting, the moving and the seconding of motions must be done by a branch delegate. I think that's the best way, because again, if we have a meeting sort of out at Wagga, for example, then the Waggarites will actually dominate the place. If we have one in Sydney, then basically it's going to be concentrated on there. If we have one in Newcastle, then I guess we're going to dominate it. And if it's up the north coast, well, something else. You know. And so because you want to do that, it needs to be via delegates, so that just because it's in your neighbourhood doesn't mean that you can't participate. I also recommend that state council meetings that the delegates have the right to be able to vote and be there electronically. But that's another question, whether or not people want that to happen or not.
And it would be wise for the delegates to be real delegates and to get the ideas and
That's right.
from their
membership,
not just their own personal.
Yes, right. I bring to you a historical point about being a delegate. I was a delegate in a political party some years back, and while I was absent, there was a few meetings held. I was away for an extended time, and they passed a resolution that had to go to state council, a resolution that supported same-sex marriage. It was not a position that I personally was prepared to support, but because they had submitted that motion to head office and I was the delegate and I had returned, I had to go there and actually move that motion, because that was my job as a delegate. I don't have to agree with what it is, I had to move that motion. But the branch doesn't own my vote. If I'm a delegate, they don't own my vote. And so on that particular occasion, I put forward the motion, hoping it wasn't seconded. It was seconded, and because it was seconded, then I immediately discussed the issue. And when I just finished discussing the issue, I asked the motion be put without further delay. Essentially, what I did as a delegate, the first part of what I had to say was these things that the branch had said in support of the particular motion. And then after that, I went and put down as to why I personally could not support it. And then it came, and I took it to an early vote without further discussion. Now, that's working as a delegate on a controversial matter. And that's how I would expect delegates to happen. And of course there may be some need for some training in that, which is again a part of administration, is to train people how to do all that sort of stuff. Very important in my mind. And after all, if you do get elected to Parliament, that's what you're supposed to do as well. unfortunately most of our local representatives don't know what the meaning to be a local representative is, and they don't represent their people. They will only represent those people who agree with them and not the ones who disagree.
Mostly their party.
That's right, and that's a part of the difficulties that we have. Now, the other thing is what we have in the Constitution is a reference to we have reference there to the employment position. Well, the only employment position in the Constitution is that of a State Director, if and when funds are available. The State Director is answerable to the Board. The Board is answerable to the membership. Now, we need to remember, in a democratic group, the Board of Management does not manage the State Council meetings. The State Council meeting is owned by the members, and the members put forward the motions, they put forward the things that need to be discussed, and the whole job of the management group is to actually manage that, but not to dominate it, to prevent the members from having their say. That's the principle of Democratic Party.
So for that meeting, would there be a vote for a chairman? Or?
No. The president would be normally the chair unless he was absent, and if he was absent, then it would be the deputy. And if he was absent, then you could vote for a chair. Okay. However, at any time in any meeting, it is quite possible for a person to move a motion that the chair be replaced by some other person, and that would have to go to a vote. And the chairman may not like it, but he's required to do that under the rules of debate, and that's how it works. So, if somebody was feeling that the chair was being a bit biased in what they were doing, then sometimes it's wise for them to be removed. And in fact, if the chairman, strictly speaking, if the chairman wants to speak to a motion, they should vacate the chair and hand it to somebody else while they have their say, and then they can go back to the chair. Okay, but because all discussions about a debate must be to the chair, not to the group. Obviously, they're listening because that's important, but it's always to the chair where the discussion goes. Unfortunately, this process has not been held, and it's not always a process that most people in churches understand, and that's a bother to me because that's what the right process is. So I don't think there's any other real complications on because all of the stuff, what we have here with this document is based upon what fair trading requires of an incorporated association to have. And all we've done is fleshed it out to suit the organisation that we're creating, and that's basically it. So I don't know if there's any other quizzes, or questions, or concerns. There are some people who think the inspection of the books are a bit much, but that's
what is it?
Inspection of the books. You see, you as a member are entitled to inspect the books, okay, and you're entitled to take a copy of stuff. And of course, a part of the whole process that we actually have to work out as a group is how much information people need to know. Now, as I have written a membership application form, and somebody got one of those here? Yeah. Membership application form. There are information that people have, but you see, you may select, and I haven't got it on here, and I probably should have. You may select that your information be kept private. You may select that, and so hence, all that will be is essentially the people in your area would know your name, or everybody would know your name, but they wouldn't be able to see your address, your phone number, and your shoe size, and whatever else.
Well, they shouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But generally speaking, that because you're allowed to go into the books and to see who the members are, but somebody might not want to have their stuff disclosed for whatever reason, and you don't even have to give a reason. You just simply have to say that.
Yes or no.
And so that's how it comes down to. But the preference is that you actually nominate where you are enrolled. As you know, if you're enrolled in a state electorate, what federal electorate, and what council area you will be effectively enrolled in.
So your membership database would have to be able to have a tick say private. You want to be
Absolutely. That will have to be what administration will have to do.
Yeah. So you.
The collecting of that, see, that all comes under administration of how the program is. Currently, what I do is I enter information that I'm given, and it's kept there. But when we move on to using a program to do it, that was what will have to happen. And this membership form will have to change. This is just a basic one to get things
The first
going.
100 members.
Yeah, to get the first 100 members. You know, that's the whole thing that we're on about. As soon as we get the 100 members, we can have a meeting, because I think to have less than 100 people deciding, I think we're not going to have a good result.
You want it as diverse as
That's right.
possible.
And
And for all around, it's just a state, this is just a state.
absolutely, this is just a
So you
structure.
really need, like you said, when you have board members, you need to have from each area,
Well,
New South Wales, you need to
Yeah,
have.
well, we need, yeah.
That's where the delegates come.
Yeah.
The board members don't necessarily have to come from each
No.
area,
But you see that,
but they are chosen by the membership of the
Yeah.
state.
and so it is always best to have a wider. I mean, the experience on a board, you need to have people with various types of experience, or you'll tend to run in one direction alone.
It's very strong out at Wagga, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of
There's
people.
a lot of people out at Wagga, and they've always
So-
been part of the Zoom.
Yeah.
And in fact, Dr. Elizabeth was on the board.
Okay.
Yeah, and so see, and we've actually had a board member who was up north of Tamworth, and she used to come down to the board meetings. She was actually on the
Where
Constitutional
was she?
Review Committee. It was a long time ago.
Yarborough,
Huh?
Yarborough, Gunga.
I'm not sure the name of the place, but it was north of, it was
Tamworth.
certainly north of Tamworth. Yeah. So, and of course, because the 100 members haven't met, because they haven't been discovered, we actually haven't determined a fee, and so hence I'm suggesting the first year's membership fee is for that 100 people to be free. You know, I mean, I mean that would help, but obviously it's not going to be free for some people, because some people have had to put some money out, for different things, and that's what will happen. Those things will happen, but that's life.
Can I just come in and say that we've had, with the presentation of those papers I'm taking in today, you're going to be paying a hefty fee for the registration.
Yeah,
Will you be able to recoup that when we get going?
that will be up to the members to decide.
Mm.
I'm not one of those people who are going to say pay me back, but it was one of those things that I'll simply say that was put out there, and if the members say, well, you give him the money back, well then I get the money back.
Mm.
You know, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those people who would go to a meeting and demand payment. That's not how I work. There are other people who might. I mean, I think part of the reason why things didn't go, the people who were doing things may have been a bit skint. I'm not saying I'm wealthy, but I mean I can handle that amount of money. I mean, I've actually paid out more money than that for something else, and I think it might have been a wrong direction. And I've written to them telling them so, and because I was seeking an ABN number, and I went to this particular site where you get an ABN number from, but they gave me back my own ABN number, which I had already anyway. They were supposed to be registering it and giving us an ABN number, and that's not what they did. That's what they
Well,
said
that's
they
their
were.
mistake, surely.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go through the site, and I mean, they may blame me for it, but I've asked them for my money back because I'm not achieving anything.
Don't you? Oh, okay. So you just don't go to the government. There's no government website where you can.
How do we get out?
Well,
I don't know,
Our
I know.
accountant did all that.
I have been significant amount of yesterday and this morning. I have been fiddling around. It was only at 10:15 this morning, I think it was, that I was told to get onto Service New South Wales.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And who told you that?
That was a person who was from ATSIC.
I said.
Yeah.
Mm.
And So, you know, that was, and of course, a lot of times I've been waiting for them to get back to me, and I've been trying to do different things, and I've been looking on sites and all that stuff, and it has been a very difficult path. And I told them that the path needs to be made more clear.
Mm-hmm.
That's what needs to be done.
Well, they're just trying to keep everybody out. Well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You've got to be really
Yeah.
dogged to keep
Yeah.
at it.
So essentially that's where we're at. I mean, I've you know, so you know, we've started to make some progress along the line. Currently, I actually have
Can I
five.
have that back, please?
Huh?
Can I
Oh,
have that
that's
back,
right.
please?
Sorry, I currently have five members who have actually got back to me and given me the details at the stage, which is, you know,
It's a good start.
It's-
Only 95 to go.
it's less than you know, it's less than 100, but it's more than
Were
none.
you one of them?
Hmm?
Were you one of them?
I don't know. Am I one of them?
No, you're
I
not.
haven't filled out the form
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. You see, I need all the details before
Yeah.
I can. You know.
We'll send them.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you know that's where it's at, and I don't know if there's anything else we need to say, and I don't know where the meeting will be held, and we will have to make that decision as we get down the track.
And the main office will be.
Somewhere.
Well, we don't know. I mean, we won't have an office until such a time as we
No,
have
when
money.
you form the party and everything's all.
Yeah,
And you have the funds, money in
Yeah.
the bank, money in the bank, then you go and look.
yeah. Because you see, one of the things is
I just want to.
see one of the processes is this: is before we actually ask for money from somebody, we've got to have a bank to put it into. We can't have a bank until we've got an ABN and a tax file number. We can't get a tax file number or an ABN number until the organisation is registered. And so that's the whole thing, and that's what I've been shuffling cards at over the last 2 days, and yeah, so that's what it comes down to.
We have made progress.
Yeah, but we have actually made progress in as much as that form, when it goes there, that will be the first actual thing where we've actually, you know, we can say
First
something.
step on the path.
Yeah, and once I get that, I will actually inform the people where we're at, and as soon as we get a bank account, and we actually have to appoint, you know, people to open that account. And
Signatures too.
yeah,
That's right.
and so I also, the other thing too is I need to have 5 people that I will need to have their tax file number and all of that. I'll need to get your copy again because I put it into the system, but
You sent it away.
that was denied
Oh.
because I didn't have this this other thing with fair trading done. I didn't have the fair trading thing done, and so it was denied.
Okay.
So I've actually got to get the details again.
Okay.
So make sure that's right. But I have to put in 5 people. I've got to have in. I can't remember the names of the groups, but there is actually 5 people I need to have there. So
Well, I can put the TFN and the privacy thing on this, add that,
yeah,
do this and scan it back to you,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that'll be acceptable.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright.
Yeah. So yeah, but so that's what happened. So you know, I've got to get another couple of people to give me some that, and from that group of 5 people that we actually have there, one of those people going to be the acting treasurer for the time being, and someone's going to be the acting secretary for the time being, and of course we're going to have a couple of people to be able to be signatures to the bank account, and therefore they've got to turn up and do that. So that's how it's going to work, and it may be an exercise of convenience with people who live in the local area to be able to do it.
Put an S on them.
I think it should have. I think I did write Christians
Okay.
on others. It should have been an S on there. Yes. As you know, I do stick to one thing all the time. I love
I
making.
looked at that and I thought, what is that?
Yeah,
I
I
just liked it.
Oh,
make
come on, girl.
lots
We're
of.
lateral thinkers.
I only
C,
No,
4,
I only
C.
quickly looked at it.
Yeah, but I do make a lot of mistakes, grammar mistakes and spelling
No.
mistakes.
Copy
You're
the
a
I'm
clever
good at
girl.
that.
You should be able to think
Copy
better.
the front page on the printer.
Huh?
Copy the front page on the printer. Do you want me to copy a page?
Oh no, we don't need to anything copied. I don't think so.
Well,
But
everybody's got, you've got printer, haven't
See,
you? Yeah, we
I
can
will-
pick our own.
Scanner, we
And
can
David's got one.
This is the electrical engineer, the gadget man.
I will, as soon as I've got this stuff back and approved, I will send an email to the group of people saying where we're at.
Yeah.
what the next stage is, and at that time I will send to them the revamped constitution with the name put on it and stuff like that. Okay, so I think that covers everything that we need to know at this stage.
No one said it to you, I said it to you.
That-
Yeah.
is there